Taking a look at futures this morning, we are seeing slight red arrows, but all three major indices finished higher yesterday. We got new records for the Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ, also getting in some small gains at the close. Oil prices have been back and forth overnight, jumping this morning after the U.S. struck an Iranian military site, intercepting multiple drones and renewing concerns over disruptions in the Strait. Let's bring in Bolvin Wealth Management Group President Gina Bolvin. Gina, good morning to you. What is your reaction to what you're seeing in these markets? More closes yesterday that hit records.
Cheryl, good morning. If you had told me 8 weeks ago that the Strait would still be closed, consumer confidence was at all-time lows, and we were talking about interest rate hikes with hawkish comments, I just wouldn't have believed you. And the truth of the matter is that money just doesn't want to leave this market. There's a big FOMO. AI is driving GDP. AI is the story, and investors keep buying the dip, and they want to remain invested, rightly so, because it's all about corporate earnings that have, we're approaching 7 consecutive quarters of double-digit earnings growth.
Well,
and investors are focused on earnings.
And earnings have been strong, to your point, for the most part. A couple of consumer names maybe didn't give us the best story. But at the same time, we've got all this data coming out today. You mentioned growth. You mentioned GDP. So let's take a look at yields right now, because we are going to get that second read on GDP for the first quarter. Then, of course, we're going to get the preferred inflation read for the Fed. That is PCE April index. That's out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Economists expecting a monthly rise of 0.5%, 3.8% year over year. And then, of course, that expectation for GDP, that expectation, 2% growth. Gina, so what are you looking for in this data? Is there anything that's going to be really on your radar at 8:30?
Well, I don't know how much of a market mover PCE is going to be, Cheryl. I mean, it's expected to be hot, and a lot of the information already came out in CPI and other data. That being said, you know, we are following inflation. I think investors may be surprised by how sticky and how high and elevated oil prices remain once the conflict is over. So we do expect inflation to remain high. But it's not just oil prices, it's also strong demand from AI. We're seeing a lot of these AI component prices remain elevated, and the consumer is still healthy, hanging in there and supporting prices. So while we expect it to be elevated, I don't think there's going to be an interest rate hike. This tough talk alone is moving the 10-year and rates up. The 30-year fixed has gone from 6 to 6.5, the mortgage rate. And so I think tough talk alone is doing some of the work. And that's what we're keeping an eye on
you've got
today.
Kevin Warsh, and you've got Kevin Warsh coming in. He's obviously now in place. Of course, talk about reducing and shrinking the balance sheet. That is a big topic. Yeah. There's a piece in the Journal this morning about that. Mark Tepper, I want to get your take on this one. Amazon and cloud storage company Snowflake announced a $6 billion deal yesterday. This requires Snowflake to pay the $6 billion over 5 years, but then they get access to Amazon CPU chips located in these AWS data centers. What do you think of this?
Well, this is a data enterprise company, Snowflake, and obviously AWS has a ton of data out there. I mean, it's the biggest cloud provider. So, you know, there were a lot of thoughts about Snowflake a few months ago that they would actually be a casualty of AI because they were grouped in with the software names. Turns out they're actually a huge beneficiary of AI, because if you think about it, when you look at enterprise data, agentic AI only works well when they have access to good, clean data. Furthermore, as a company, you are going to have data that you don't want agentic AI to have access to. So you need a company like Snowflake to kind of set up the guardrails and allow good quality data in and prevent the data that you want to keep confidential from going into the AI system. So this stock, I mean, it was up, I think, what, 30%? 33% after the bell. Wow.
Yeah,
even more this morning. Even more this morning. So we bought Datadog, which we saw a very similar opportunity as this one, maybe beginning of March, and that one's essentially doubled. So I think this one still has room to run. I think it's pretty exciting.
Interesting. Gina, before you go, what are some investment strategies that our viewers should consider to best position themselves right now? Where are you looking for safety?
For safety, well, I think the Mag 7 offers some great opportunity right now. It's underperforming the S&P 500. It's dragged down by Meta, dragged down by obviously Microsoft, and we see some good opportunities there. I also like the industrial sector with the strong defense tailwind as well as AI build out. And I think that this year could be volatile. It's a midterm year, but I do think money is going to stay in equities, and it'll be a good year, and we could potentially, be up significantly from here by the end of the year.
All right, Gina Bolvin, it's always great to have you on the program. Thank you, Gina.
Thanks.
We've got a lot more coming up this morning. Congress may have delayed a vote on reconciliation